Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Brooke and this is the Seed to Plate channel. It is week 5 of vlogging. I have not done very well this week and that is because I have actually been dealing with cedar fever. No, it is not the thing that is going around that supposedly I can't say in a YouTube video because it'll get flagged. I have tested negative for said thing. So I'm dealing with cedar fever. It's something that gets really bad here in Central Texas right around this time of year. And it causes symptoms very similar to the thing that's going around that I can't say. Whatever. You're not here for me to talk about that. We are going to do a February garden tour today. It is February 4th. You will probably be seeing this the day after I film this. And a lot has changed. February is a very weird month in Central Texas. I'm in Zone AB because it's kind of a roller coaster. Like today, it's gonna be 84 degrees. Next week, we're supposed to have a night where the low gets down to 27. So this is a really weird time of year for Texas. It's really easy to kind of feel like it's spring and there's no more frost threat, but there totally is. So we're gonna start in my backyard. We'll move over to the community plot this afternoon because there's a lot to show you. A lot has changed. So without further ado, let's get started. First things first are the lovely bare root strawberries that I planted a couple of weeks ago. Most of them are coming up. There might be a couple, like that guy might not come up, but out of 30 plants, if I only lose a couple, I'm kind of okay with that. So this is my green stalk planter. It is planted fully with strawberries. I believe the first 3 tiers are June bearing and the bottom 2 are ever bearing. So that's kind of how that works. I finally got the wheels. Oh, also, you're gonna see a lot of these like weird orangey red situations. I put in one of my other vlogs that the only thing that's been helping my squirrel issue has been putting down cayenne pepper everywhere. So you're gonna see a lot of that like reddish dust in my backyard garden. That is all to keep that dang squirrel out of my garden. So I got the wheels. This has helped immensely because I do have to turn my green stalk. And then that guy kind of gets any extra water out. But my strawberries are doing well. There's a lot of them that have come up and I'm pretty pumped about them. And so starting over here, these are all onions, both white and yellow onions. So these I planted a couple of weeks ago. They're doing pretty well. They seem to be well rooted. There's me. And yeah, these are doing well. I've had a couple of spots where the squirrel has been digging, so I have to be really careful about that. And then I'm trying to also have them in grow bags. This is one of the grow bags that dang squirrel's been getting into. And then the biggest difference in the backyard garden are my arch trellises. So this is definitely a dream that I have had, is to have some big green arches, and I'm really excited about them. So what we have attempting to grow on them right now are sugar snap peas. Sugar snap peas are really good even if it's gonna frost. So these have been planted, and then these are all just extra flowers that I had from doing a project in my front yard. So that's why those are there. And then these are some Montauk daisies that are coming back. I bought these Montauk daisies as a quote-unquote rescue plant. They were on sale at the end of the summer and I bought them and I planted them just to see if they would come back, and they're coming back, so I'm pretty excited. And then in here we have the bed of garlic. It's looking pretty good. These smaller garlics, these are ones that I didn't do a very good job in planting and I've kind of had to thin them out, but then there's some that I did a really good job. So this is all red garlic. That's why it's, when I pulled it out, like this little guy, this is one of the red garlics that I'm not gonna lie, the day I planted this, I got lazy and I kind of just threw the rest of them all over. But some of my other, like the bigger garlic, is doing really well back there. This is another bed that the squirrel really likes to get into. And then over here we have the same situation, more sugar snap peas and more flowers and more Montauk daisies. And then over in this bed, the sun has started to shift, thankfully. And so this kale is starting to take off and do really well. The squirrel outsmarted me on this one. And then these are some smaller kales that were in the green stalk that I pulled out and I just shoved in here to see if I could get them to grow. But this bed will be taken over with winter squash once I'm able to plant that. There's a very sleepy dog who is the biggest sunbather. And then over here, this is going to be the heirloom tomato bed. So currently I have a bunch of heirloom tomatoes happening, and this will be the bed for them. I have a whole video talking about exactly how I did this bed, so I will link it here so you can see. It's a no-dig bed. It's I think it's Charles Downing. It's his method of establishing a bed, where you kill off the grass with cardboard and then you layer compost and dirt and good stuff on top of it. So that's why it looks really gross. But hopefully by the March garden tour it will have tomatoes in it. In here, these two pots are some tulips, and you can see one poking itself up right there. And then this is kind of the hodgepodge flower herb bed. I totally caved and I bought these daffodils at the store, and they're just really pretty and I have no regrets. But I'm waiting currently for this bed, which is currently half in the sun and half in the shade. I'm waiting for the tulips to come up in here. So they're coming, they're working on it. These are long-stemmed tulips specifically for cutting flowers. And then we have a lemon balm that has survived. That is all peppermint. That is some purple salvia that has survived. Rosemary, another daffodil, another purple salvia. But there's tulips all up in here. Here's another one coming up. Here's another one. The plan is, we're kind of in this like weird temporary stage right now. The onions will come out right around, it's February, those will probably come out around May. And the garlic will also come out around May. And then this other bed is going to be squash. So I'm really happy to see that the sun is moving so well. That's a big issue I've had in my backyard garden, was the sun, because we've got a bunch of trees in the back. So I'm really pumped to see how that's improving. I think this bed will do really well with winter squash. It'll have like some butternut squash and some acorn squash and some spaghetti squash. So we're gonna get that started here pretty soon. I'm also super pumped for all of the heirloom tomatoes. So this space is gonna look extremely different the next time you see it in a garden tour, but you know, if you want to keep up, you can always watch the weekly vlogs. And then the plan for the trellises is actually to, once the peas are done, which the peas will usually be done here like again around May because it just gets too hot for them, that's when I'll put in cucumbers. So that's when cucumbers will go along the trellises here. So lots of exciting stuff coming along. I have been working really hard in January on getting my backyard garden kind of cleaned up and looking how I want it to look. And I'm pretty happy with it so far. It just needs to get all full of plants now. So this is the backyard garden. The community plot still has a lot of stuff going on, and I'm going there here in a couple of hours, so I will show you what it looks like.
Hey guys, how's it going? It is actually the next day. I came out here yesterday to water and there were just a lot of people here. So I, stayed masked up and I decided to come this morning. But yesterday it was so warm and now we are in the forecast to get the polar vortex, which is great. So I'm gonna take you guys on a quick tour of the February community plot. There's not too much to see, honestly. I've let the broccoli that was remaining from last month go to flower for the bees, and now they're just covered in bees, and the bees have had food for the winter, which is good. And then the last thing that's in here that really I have to do a big harvest of are my Brussels sprouts, which I will probably do this next week before the vortex hits. My Brussels sprouts, not that great, if I'm being honest. I have really struggled with Brussels sprouts, so, but that's okay. I will show you guys. I think Paul might have cut down his Brussels sprouts. There's a couple gardeners here that are really good at Brussels sprouts, and I need to really pick their brains and figure out what they're doing right. Also, it just started drizzling, so we'll see how long I am able to keep my camera on. But the couple of things that are doing really well here right now are parsley. Rosemary always does really well here. I also have some sugar snap peas that are doing really well. Those tend to tolerate the cold temperatures, and also spinach and collard greens. So let's go on a community plot garden tour here in February. Okay guys, so this lavender is coming back, kind of. And then around the border we have our rosemary. I need to pick some of that today. This is all parsley that I planted last spring that is still going strong. Here it looks like I dropped some cilantro seed in with my flowers. This is curly parsley that I don't ever know what to do with. And then over here we just have more flowers, more cilantro. This is some lemon thyme that's coming back from last spring that I just left in there. More parsley. It is raining out here. Bad timing. And then just more flowers. These are mustard greens that I've just left, and honestly I've left them for this reason. I've left them so that the bugs can chew on them and so that the bugs don't chew on my other stuff. I've also done that with these. These are all turnips that, again, I'm not actually planning on really harvesting them. I've just left them for the bugs to eat so the bugs stay away from my other things that I care more about. And so we have these mustard greens that are kind of like sacrificial plants. Here are my sugar snap peas, and they're going to be growing up some tomato cages that somebody let me use. So everything else is kind of empty until we get to this mega mountain of oregano that has been growing since last spring. And then we have our calendula over here. This has taken off as it's gotten a little bit warmer. And so the calendula is doing really well. This is a Playtime mixed calendula from Baker Creek. And then this is more lemon thyme. This is all spinach. I do need to take out some of these seedlings, some of them are competing. That's a weed. Some of them are competing with each other because I kind of just broadcasted the seeds. So I definitely need to do something about that. That'll probably happen this weekend. And then what I also did over here was I just kind of spread some carrot seed, and I didn't really know what I was doing, and I didn't take it very seriously, if I'm being honest. This was before I left in December. And so I kind of just spread them without really having any intention behind it. And there's a few growing. So that's kind of cool. Carrots are something I actually really love eating. I will just sit there and eat a whole carrot, raw. So I would really love to try and figure out how to grow carrots. So that's probably a next year thing, because we're kind of all eyes on spring right now. And you definitely cannot grow carrots here in Central Texas in the spring. It is way too hot and they'll just immediately bolt and not actually form a taproot, which the taproot's the actual part of the carrot that you eat. You all know this. Again, we have all these turnips that I planted for sacrificial purposes for the bugs. And then this is all Swiss chard. And so This Swiss chard has actually taken a little bit to take off, but I think now that I took down some of these broccoli plants, it's doing a lot better. And then here is the broccoli that I let go to flower. And also I'm like 99% sure that these are all like aphids, which is kind of gross. Like these are just literally covered in aphids. Because I've seen a ton of ladybugs around here, and I think that that's why. I think they're eating all of these aphids that have decided to come attack my garden. So this is all the broccoli that's really left that's happening. This is all broccoli plants I pulled out that I just haven't hauled out of here yet. And then let's talk, okay, it's like really raining. It's like drizzling, and I'm trying to decide how much of a baby I want to be right now. Whatever, we're gonna finish this. My Brussels sprouts. Oh, and then there's some like random beets that like I don't remember planting, but it's fine. So this is what's happening to my Brussels sprouts. See that? They're like creating little sprouts. Some of them are really short and have like a bunch of sprouts. I'm just like not truly sure what I'm doing wrong. And then if we go look at this one has like no sprouts. So like here's one with some sprouts. That one just doesn't have any. And then these are my collard greens, which collard greens just always do really well here. They're probably covered in aphids. The aphids really like these. So it's fine, we're not really eating them right now. Oh wow. Yeah. Okay, I've got a big aphid issue that apparently I didn't know about until right now. However, oh wow, it is legit raining. It's gonna freeze next week, so I think the aphids are all gonna die, honestly. I should probably be more concerned about this, but I'm just not, so that tells you where I'm at with the garden. I think I kind of hit this place with the garden in February and August. Like February, the weather's all over the place and I'm just like focused on my spring seeds and I'm just like, ugh, whatever, I'm done dealing with this. And then August is just too hot to function. It's too hot. In my opinion, you have to just plant things that are really low maintenance, like okra and loofah and things like that. So yeah, wait, I want to show you guys some Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts can be grown here in Texas successfully. It can happen. Other people are doing it. I don't know how, but I'm gonna show you. I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. See, like this is my plot neighbor. This is Paul. Look at those beautiful Brussels sprouts. Look at them. Be done. It is not impossible. But it's not happening for my garden. So that's really all that's happening right now. It's raining. I'm gonna go talk to you in the car. Okay guys, it was really cold and rainy and my glasses are all rainy now, so it's fine. But yeah, that's the February garden tour. I feel like it was super short, so I'm sorry. But there are still things you can grow in the colder weather. Not like snow, but you are in the South. There are things that you can grow. Lettuces do really well in the cold. I kind of just chose not to focus on lettuce this fall and winter, and I definitely think that's something I'll change for next year, because growing the big fun things is great, but in terms of like actual crop production, half of my community plot was taken over by broccoli and Brussels sprouts, and I think there was maybe enough broccoli for us to eat like 3 meals, maybe. So when you're thinking about gardening, if your goal is like production and like replacing your grocery bill, for example, then you want to think about foods that you're going to be able to come back and pick, that you're going to be able to eat every day. You know, I should have planted more spinach, I should have planted more lettuces, but I really was excited about like go big or go home kind of a situation. And now look, like I've got a quarter of my plot taken up by Brussels sprouts that aren't even producing anything, where I've got other plot neighbors over there that are growing so much lettuce. Like, they're coming and they're being able to eat food like every day. So I think I'm going to rethink my fall and winter garden next year and try and do a lot more like kale and lettuces and spinach and all of that stuff, because I want to maximize my space as much as I can. So that's kind of the main thing I wanted to talk about with like the February garden tour, is stuff like that, because now that, you know, February is really when our fall and winter gardens here in Central Texas, Zone 8B, that's really when everything's starting to wrap up, because our last frost date based on the Farmer's Almanac is March 1st. I'm so sorry. I know a lot of you watching are probably in more northern climates, and your last frost date isn't until like April, May area. I usually don't plant out until mid-March just so that I'm safe. Especially with tomatoes, you don't want to plant anything out until the nights are consistently above 50 degrees. So we're kind of wrapping things up for the season, and like I said when I was in the plot, I kind of hit this plateau twice a year, where February I'm just so focused on starting all my seeds inside that like really what's happening outside becomes not as important to me. But what will be coming up here in the next few weeks is we're going to amend my community plot. That's going to be pretty important. My backyard plot doesn't really need to be amended because there hasn't been much growing in there. But we're going to have to amend this plot out here and remulch because the weeds here get out of control. So that's going to be a big project that happens here at the community plot. And we'll talk about soil amendments and what I do and what I've done in the past and all of that kind of stuff. And then by the time you see the next garden tour, we'll probably have seedlings planted out for tomatoes. I think I might wait until April 1st to do the peppers, but definitely flowers and things will start being very, very green here. And that's part of why I really love living in the South. For me, it's worth the month of February being kind of a roller coaster weather-wise, and August and like basically mid-July through mid-September just being an absolute inferno. So there's good stuff coming up. And yeah, I just thank you so much for being here with me. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. If you have any Brussels sprout or carrot advice, I'm here for it. Please give it to me. And I will see you guys next week for the weekly vlog. Thanks, y'all. Have a good week.